This session will be chaired by Professor Rabindranath.
Good afternoon to all of you. We have reached to the last session. We have four speakers in this session. I would like to first request the present speaker. Hoshio Shan is lecturer of the School of Literature of Shanxi, I think. Normal University. She is now serving as the main lecturer of the undergraduate compulsory courses, foreign literature and Oriental literature. She received her doctoral degree from the Department of Asian and African Studies of the School of Foreign Languages of Beijing University in 2022, and her master's degree is from the Institute of World Literature of the School of Foreign Languages of Beijing University. Her research focuses on Tagore literature and Sino-Indian comparative literature, particularly she is interested in the translation and dissemination of academic essays, Tagore's literature, Tagore's philosophy of education, and she has published many academic essays. I would like to request to you to present your paper. We have 13 minutes allocated for every speaker.
সবাইকে নমস্কার আমার বাংলা নাম শিখা, so you can call me that name. My Chinese name is He Xiaoxuan, and I have learned Bengali for almost 5 years. But I cannot speak it fluently, and my listening skills of Bengali is quite good. Sometimes I can just read some academic materials, but today I'm trying to say something in Bengali. Yeah, the book maybe may contains a lot of grammar mistakes, but yeah, thank you. Well, the teamwork is not very necessary actually. So I will begin my speech. Well, the speech of me today in English is the Tagore's practice in compiling language and the literature textbooks. That is a small part of my PhD dissertations, and here I want to communicate with you guys and want to find more academic materials to enrich this part. Rabindranath Tagore, একজন মহান শিক্ষাবিদ, যিনি কেবল শিক্ষাগত বিষয় গভীর আন্তরিক চিন্তা ভাবনা করেছিলেন, শুভপ্রস অনুশীলন করেছিলেন। বহু সমৃদ্ধ শিক্ষা চর্চার মধ্যে পাঠ্য পুস্তক সংকলক হিসেবে রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর উপভোগ করা যায় না। That's right. তৎকালীন শিক্ষার পরিবেশে রবীন্দ্রনাথ বিশ্বাস করতেন বাঙালি শিশুদের শেখার উপযোগী পাঠ্যপুস্তক সাধারণ পাঠ্য উপকরণ খুবই কম। শিশুদের অবসরের জন্য প্রেরণার একটি অবিচ্ছেদ্য উৎস স্বরূপ লাভ করার জন্য শিশুদের অবশ্য তাদের মাতৃভাষাকে শেখার এবং পড়ার অবহক সাহিত্যে ব্যবহার করতে হবে এবং শেখন উপকরণগুলি সংকলন এবং ব্যবহার অবসর শিক্ষার্থীদের একটি স্বচ্ছ এবং উপভোগী সংক্ষেপ উপলব্ধি তাদের প্রকৃতি অনুযায়ী সেটি সক্ষম করতে হবে। রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের নিজস্ব পাঠ্যপুস্তক মাঠে ভাষা শেখার পাঠ্যপুস্তক এবং সাধারণ সাহিত্যের পাঠকদের একটি সিরিজ অন্তর্ভুক্ত করেছি। ভাষা শেখার উপকরণের মধ্যে রয়েছে সাংস্কৃতিক বেসিক, ইংরেজ ব্যাকরণ, ইংরেজ শোনা এবং বাংলার মাধ্যমে বাংলাদেশে ইংরেজ অনুবাদ অনুশীলন। সাধারণ সাহিত্যের পাঠ প্রধানত সংক্ষিপ্ত বাংলা সংক্ষিপ্ত প্রবন্ধ পাঠ এবং ইংরেজ সংক্ষিপ্ত প্রবন্ধ পাঠ। বিদ্যমান উপকরণগুলি টেবিলে রয়েছে। Yeah, that's all I've seen the textbooks of language and literature Tagore had write or take part in the activities that made that as textbooks. First one is the Sanskritic Shikha.
要很长时间才下一张。
第二个Sanskritic Shikha মূলত সংস্কৃতি শিক্ষা মূলত একটি দুই খণ্ডের বই ছিল, তবে এখন কেবল রেডিও সন্ধি পাওয়া যায়। দ্বিতীয় অংশে যা বিদ্যমান এটি দুটি প্রধান অংশ নিয়ে গঠিত। যৌগিক আখরের একটি তালিকা এবং 45 ইউনিট। প্রতি ইউনিট অনুশীলন প্রশ্নের একটি সেট দ্বারা অনুসরণ করা যায় এবং প্রতি ইউনিট সহজ থেকে কঠিন পর্যন্ত যা শিখেছে সেই অনুযায়ী 3 ভাগে বিভক্ত। ইংরাজ শাসন পাঠ্যপুস্তকের তুলনামূলকভাবে বিস্তৃত সেট। প্রধান কোর্স মধ্যে রয়েছে তিনটা প্রথম অংশ। তিনটা অংশের মূল কোর্সের আগে বিষয়বস্তুর একটি অংশ রয়েছে। Something may be written to the teachers. বিষয়বস্তুর দিক থেকে এই অংশে রবীন্দ্রনাথ চান যে শিক্ষার্থীদের ইংরাজ ভাষা সম্পর্কে সাংস্কৃতিক ধারণা থাকুক। এই অংশটি মূলত অপরিহার্য বাক্য, সাধারণ প্রশ্ন বাক্য এবং ইংরাজিতে তাদের উত্তরগুলির অধ্যয়ন। ইংরাজ শাসন 14 বিভাগ নিয়ে গঠিত। বিষয়বস্তুর মধ্যে রয়েছে শিক্ষার্থীদের সহজ এবং সাধারণভাবে অবিগ্রহত ইংরেজ বিশেষণ শেখানো, সহজ বিশেষণ বাক্য সংকট গঠনের জন্য বিশেষণ ব্যবহার করা এবং প্রথামিক ব্যবহার। The next one of the second part is ইংরাজ শাসন দ্বিতীয় অংশ। This is the দ্বিতীয় অংশ। 17 সাব ইউনিট রয়েছে, যা মূলত বর্তমানে কালের এক বছর এবং বহু বছর ব্যক্তিগত মনে ক্রিয়া সংমিশ্র করে ব্যাখ্যা করে বর্তমান অবিচ্ছিন্নকাল, অতীত নিখুঁতকাল এবং কিছু সাধারণ repetition, Chenma in or something pronunciation of the English letter. A অংশে রজুর অনুবাদ অনুশীলন রয়েছে। এই ক্রিয়াগুলি বিভিন্ন প্রকরণ শেখানোর সময় এবং the third part of his textbooks is ইরাজ শ্রুতি শেখা listening skills. যদি অংশ নিয়ে গঠিত শিখন সামগ্রীর প্রথম অংশটি মূলত একক বাক্যের শ্রাবণ সংযোগ, দ্বিতীয় অংশটি মূলত শিখে দেওয়া জানের বিষয়গুলিকে একত্র করা এবং সংক্ষিপ্ত সংলাপের মাধ্যমে জ্ঞানকে প্রসারিত করা। The first part is the অনুবাদ চর্চা। এটি মূলত শিক্ষার্থীরা আগে যা শিখেছে তার ভিত্তিতে তাদের একটি বিস্তৃত জ্ঞান পরীক্ষা। অনুবাদ অনুশীলন মূলত বাংলা থেকে ইংরাজি অনুবাদ অনুশীলন করা হয়। মোটটি 114টি অনুচ্ছেদ সহ রবীন্দ্রনাথ অনুবাদ অনুশীলনের বিভিন্ন অধ্যায়ে বিভিন্ন বিষয়ে ইংরেজিতে অনুচ্ছেদ সংগ্রহ করেন। এই অনুচ্ছেদগুলিতে রবীন্দ্রনাথ যতটা সম্ভব বিভিন্ন ধরনের ইংরাজি বাক্য কাঠামো সংগ্রহ করেছিলেন। তবে লক্ষণীয় যে রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর ভাষা শেখার মাধ্যমে শিক্ষার্থীদের অনুবাদ প্রযুক্তিতে দক্ষ হতে বাধ্য করেননি। অনুবাদ অনুশীলনের মুঠোগ্রন্থে রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর দেখেছেন যে অনুবাদ অনুশীলনের উদ্দেশ্য শিক্ষার্থীদের পেশাদার অনুবাদক হিসাব করে তোলা হয়। ওরা শিক্ষার্থীদের বিভিন্ন ভাষার মধ্যে অনুবাদের মাধ্যমে ইংরাজি বাক্যগুলোর ব্যবহার এবং ইংরেজি শব্দ এবং বাংলা বাক্যগুলির মাধ্যমে পার্থক্য এবং অবনতি করে সম্ভব করা। এর মূল উদ্দেশ্য ভাষার বাইরে যাওয়া অনুবাদ একটি গভীর স্বরে একটি সাংস্কৃতিক বোঝাপড়া এবং ঠাকুর আশা করে যে শিক্ষার্থীরা সক্রিয় অনুবাদের মাধ্যমে ভাষার পিছনে চিন্তা ভাবনা যুক্তি আরো উপলব্ধি করতে এবং বুঝতে পারে, যাতে বিভিন্ন ভাষা এবং সভ্যতার চিন্তা ভাবনা অনুভব করতে পারে। আগেই উল্লেখ করা রয়েছে রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের নিশ্চয় তার লেখা উপকরণগুলি ব্যবহার করার সময় শেখার প্রতি তার নিজস্ব অনন্য দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি ছিল। আজকে সেই সময় রবীন্দ্রনাথের শ্রেণীর নির্দিষ্ট স্তরে পাওয়া সম্ভব নয়, তবে এই সব উপকরণ থেকে তার অভ্যাস পাওয়া যায়। রবীন্দ্রনাথের প্রস্তুতিমূলক পাঠের অংশ বর্তমান মুদ্রিত উপকরণগুলিতে খুব কম নির্দেশনামূলক চিহ্ন রয়েছে। তবে দেখা যায় যে রবীন্দ্রনাথ ছাত্রদের সুস্থভাবে বলার পরিবর্তে এক ধরনের অনুশীলন বাচ্চাদের ইংরেজি শিখিয়েছিলেন। এটি একটি অপরিহার্য রচনাটিকে ব্যবহারকে ইত্যাদি। এখানে একটি উদাহরণ এখানে একটি উদাহরণ দেওয়া হলো, an example here of how Tagore taught the English maybe for the children at that time. গুরুর মাধ্যমে প্রথম অংশ রবীন্দ্রনাথের পাঠ্যপুস্তকের মূলপাঠিতে in one group, and is there someone to read it right now? Please raise your hand. Maybe read this tablet. No one? Yeah, thank you. You can read it. Just read it in English letters. be great if there are two students who can communicate with each other. Yeah, one is teacher and the other is student. Well, ভূগোলের বিষয় বস্তুতে ইরাজ মূলত একটি খুব সহজ অর্থ, একটি সত্য এবং জীবনে খুব ব্যবহারিক হয়। রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর তার ছাত্রদের যে ইংরেজ অংশটি আরোত করতে বলেছেন তা মূলত অপরিহার্য বাক্য। রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর কিভাবে তার ছাত্রদের এই অপরিহার্য সত্যি অনুভব করেছিলেন, উপলব্ধি করেছিলেন এবং আরো করেছিলেন তা পাঠ্যের বাংলা অংশটি দেখা যেতে পারে। এই বইটিতে এখন সহজ মনে হচ্ছে well, the passage is Kumut. She called a student who called Kumut, right? একজন শিক্ষার্থী নাম এবং বন্ধনের প্রথম বাক্যটি এই রূপ প্রত্যেক ছাত্র আরো অর্থ প্রতি শিক্ষার্থীকে এইভাবে থাকুন অর্থ এখানে আসুন এবং অনুরূপ ক্রিয়াকালের জন্য প্রতিটি শিক্ষার্থীকে অবশ্যই ঘটনাস্থলে একটি করতে হবে এবং ক্রমাগত একটি প্রকৃতি ক্রিয়ার উপলব্ধি করতে হবে। এই রাষ্ট্রে এই ক্রিয়াদের ফলদিক এবং স্বরভঙ্গি কি এবং এটি বাংলা থেকে কিভাবে আলাদা। অনেক পুনরাবৃত্তি প্রশিক্ষণের পরে অনুরূপ অপরিহার্য স্বর শেখার পরে শিক্ষার্থীদের শারীরিক স্মরণে থাকবে এবং ভাষা গানের শেখা শব্দের স্তরে থামবে না। সময়ের সাথে সাথে সারা শরীর জুড়ে একাধিক ইংরেজ স্বভাববেশের মাধ্যমে গানটি শিক্ষার্থীদের দ্বারা তারা শোষিত হবে। রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর সর্বদাই জোর দিয়ে এসেছেন যে শিশুদের অর্থবোধ শিক্ষিত করার জন্য শিশুদের কাছে আকর্ষণীয় হতে হবে, যা সকল কার্যকর ও মানসম্পন্ন শেখার ভিত্তি এবং একই সাথে তাদের কল্পনা শক্তিকে প্রসারিত করতে হবে এবং তাদের কৌশল বোঝাতে হবে এবং চাইলে শিক্ষার্থীদের গানের পথে নিয়ে যাওয়া সম্ভব। পাঠ্যপুস্তকের সম্পাদক হিসেবে ঠাকুরের শেখার ক্ষেত্রে দারুণ অবদান রয়েছে। আমরা আজকের মান দ্বারা এই শেখার উপকরণগুলি কোন মানকে বিচার করতে পারি না, তবে আমাদের অবশ্যই এই উপকরণগুলির অন্যতমূলক নিতে হবে। সংখ্যা ধন্যবাদ। Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Horshosham. I must appreciate you for presenting your paper in Bengal. She was delivering his lecture or presenting a paper on Tagore's primers. তোমরা এখানে অনেকেই আছো যারা সহজ পাঠ জানো, কিন্তু রবীন্দ্রনাথ শুধু সহজ পাঠ নয়, আর কত রকম প্রাইমার লিখেছিলেন আমার ধারণা এই দিদির কাছ থেকে তোমরা সেটা বোধহয় অনেকেই প্রথম জানো। Very interesting, and if time permits, I will come in my conclusion lecture on this topic. May I now request Miss Tham Yun Wei. Shomiranda. Sure. Next speaker is our Shomiranda, Professor Shomiran Mandal. Shomiran Mandal is the professor in the Department of Physical Education and Sports Science of Visva-Bharati, and at the same time is the principal of Bhavana. Professor Shaviran Mandal is a distinguished academic and researcher in the fields of Ayurveda, Yoga, and physical education, currently serving as the professor of Visva-Bharati in Billund. And Professor Mandal's work is characterized by a holistic approach to physical education, emphasizing the interplay between body, mind, and environment, which resonates with the principles of Ayurveda and Yoga. His contributions continue to influence the fields of physical education and traditional sports in India. Shaviranda is presently the Vice President of Indian Yoga Association's West Bengal chapter. I would humbly request Professor Shaviran Mandal to present his paper. The name of this paper is Role of Yoga, Vyama, or the Yoga exercise, and Krida, sport in Tagore's educational ideals.
Thank you very much for inviting me in this international conference. So, before going to the paper, Swagatam to all the especially the Chinese delegates who came from China and who are the very close friend to India. So before going to my paper, from my childhood, I know the Chinese people. Why? Because I am from Murshidabad district, near to my birthplace. There is one place called as Raktomitrika Mahabihar or Kormasuborno. Once it was a capital of Bengal, Bighan Bengal. So upon Raktomitrika Mahabihar, it's very near to my place, and many times I have visited this place. My father was a historian, and he also worked on these areas, particularly Buddhist literature and culture and Buddhist mort. So on that time I know this Chinese people and Chinese culture, particularly the Yuan Sang. He visited at least 1,300 years ago. Yuan Sang visited my place. My place is near to Ganges. So Yuan Sang, he came from today Chinese people came here by traveling by air or by plane. On that time, this person, and before that another person also came here. Yuan Sang came at 1,500 years ago. He came to India by walking. The total Himalayan is walking, and then visited most part of the India, particularly the important parts of our Indian territories of that time. Then after he returned back. So from that, I know these Chinese people much more from my childhood. So my paper is a role. I am a researcher in this area. Exercise, and the Yoga, Vyam, Krida. This is my research area. So my paper is role of Yoga, Vyam, or exercise, Yoga exercise. Yoga and Vyam is different, not the same. Vyama is for body, Yoga is for mind and spirit. Krida is sports. So in educational, Tagore's educational ideas. Next one. Before going to my main part, let's start from the Tagore's childhood. From the childhood, as you know, in his Jivan Sriti or Cherevela, Tagore started his journey from this area. He every day Kusti or Mallakya of that time is calling as Kusti, he practiced in his home. And he has a teacher, he came regularly and he practiced Kusti. Then after gymnastics, he wrote that of gymnastics, he practiced gymnastics. On the time it is gymnastics, but particularly we have collected information. This is not the gymnastics like this modern days, it is an Indian type of bodybuilding. Next, Satar or Jolokrida. He practiced Satar, he had wrote this Satar from his elder brother. This is the elder brother, he learned this swimming. Then different types of the ball games he learned on that time and played with his friends and other friends. And horse riding also he took the riding from his elder brother. So there are many stories about this horse riding. Tennis he played with his Indian friends, and particularly the European friends. Next slide, please. Next, I am coming to the Tagore's adulthood. And Tagore is early married. So, after marriage, when he had the sons and children, he started exercise and sports arrangements for his sons and daughters. Swimming, he himself teaches his sons and daughters. And he encouraged different types of different types of adventure sports, particularly the mountaineering and other courses he encouraged to his sons and daughters. And arranged sports competition. There is a report that is he arranged sports competition in his sons and daughter in Bangladesh. So there is a good the literature about the arrangement of sports competition for his family members. And on that time, in this period, he wrote many essays, songs, poems on joke, exercise and sports of Tiras. Next one, please. Tagore then started 1901. Tagore started in school, Brahmacharya Vidyalaya. On his way, Brahmacharya Vidyalaya, when he started, before that he wrote a letter to his closest friend of Tripura, on that time Tripura Maharaja, Raja Manipur. The last line of his letter was, আমার স্কুলে আরো অনেক শিক্ষার পাশাপাশি ব্যায়াম চর্চারও বিশেষ ব্যবস্থা থাকিবে। So exercise is a very important part in his school educational philosophy and school educational ideas. And on his school, it is compulsory from the beginning. The vyama or exercise is compulsory. Was compulsory. Sports, krida is compulsory. Every day, the children have to chant mantras. Upasana is every day as practice. And compulsory different types of yogasana is compulsory on the school educational system. Here are some the pictures we can justify this one. Next one, please. Let's start with this Indian bodybuilding. It's a very old picture I have collected from Bhavana. Thanks for the Bhavana for this supporting to my research. You see, here is an Indian bodybuilding. In Indian bodybuilding, there are different types of bodybuilding exercises. One is dawn, or Indian type of squat. One is Indian type of squat is boitout. Dawn, Indian type of dips, and then mugu, then different types of other exercises also they are practicing. This is a compulsory bodybuilding. The Indian type of bodybuilding practice from that time he was started for his school children. Next one. Next. Next please. Yes. This is Indian style of wrestling. So they are also the school children of that time. So they are practicing not this type modern wrestling. This is the Indian type of wrestling. Also they are practicing for their bodybuilding. They are practicing this wrestling on that time. And just beside this, you see the wheel of the bull cart. So that wheel also they are using this one for strength development. So at that time, this Indian type of bodybuilding, Indian type of wrestling, they were introduced. The children, the school students and other students, they are practicing. With their staff members are also practicing. Next one. The next one is here. It is another very important aspect I would like to present. Right now, UNESCO declared the traditional games and sports is an cultural heritage. It's an intangible cultural heritage of the world. UNESCO declared all the traditional games and sports of all over the world have been declared as an intangible cultural heritage. So you see here, Tagore encourage these traditional games and sports. এখানে যে খেলাটা দেখা যাচ্ছে এটা ডাঙ্গুলি খেলা। So he encouraged these traditional games and sports. Right now we are not known about these traditional games and sports, but on that time he encouraged these traditional games and sports. Right now, these traditional games and sports have been recognized by the UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage. What is it? You see, on that time, 100 years back, he thinks about that it should be preserved. It should be preserved. Yes, ma'am. Next, another important, you see, the tribes all over the world is it's an endangered condition and they are in extinct. Somewhere it is extinct. So they go on that time. Think about that we have to preserve the traditional tribal art and culture and exercise for the sport. So he himself encouraged this traditional type of tribal the sports. They love this archery. So that type is a different one, not this modern one, but they would encourage themselves or the students to do this tribal art of sports, archery on that time. Yes, sir. Next, mass physical activity. This is another important point. When we do exercise by alone, we are the practicing, or we have some enjoyment or activities with this. We can benefit our body and mind. But when you do exercise with your partners, with your social friends, with your other friends, so that you could enjoy much more. Like mass activities is good. Now the scientist is asking that, suggesting that if you do exercise by alone, it is effective. If you do exercise by together, it is much more effective. So this is a mass activity. If you do activity, mass physical activity or exercise or group, it is much more effective for your body and mind. Yes, this is another one. There is many class students. So you see, on that time, Tagore encouraged the girl student for their self-defense. You know the current situation of the world and particularly in West Bengal. So girl students, they are practicing on that time the daggers. They are practicing. I mean, how to hold this. If he is attacked by a dagger, how to hold this one. So on that time, he encouraged girl students to practice the self-defense to protect yourself. So right now we are thinking, the government is thinking to protect the girl students. They have to learn this self-defense. 100 years back, they will think that they will started this one. Next one, please. Next one, you see another important picture. 100 years back, our Indian society is too much of the orthodox society. But on that orthodox society, they were getting challenged that playing, co-educational playing, boys and girls play together. So this is 100 years back, they were thinking in his educational system that we have to think about this co-educational playing, boys and girls play together. You see, at that time it is very difficult to take the girls in a particularly the field. He thinks about and he introduce this one, replace this one. Next is Dhyan. It is Indian culture. We know this Indian very much about this Indian. Yoga is one of the aspects. Tagore wrote in his literature that yoga আমাদের national culture. Tagore লিখছেন yoga আমাদের national culture. And তিনি লিখছেন it has to be spread all over the world. Now world is thinking 2015 UNESCO declared yoga as an international yoga day. 21st of June is an international yoga day. On that time, Tagore introduced the yoga in his institute, and at the same time, he himself plead for the yoga to spread this yoga knowledge to all over the India. This is not our thing. It has to be spread all over the world. Next one, please. Next one. This one very important for Japanese scholars. Please take this lesson from here. You see here, the year is 1905. 1905 साल. Tagore started his judo classes for the students of Visva-Bharati. 1905. 1905 साले उन्हें शुरू कर दिए judo শেখানো. Why? And one his son, right side is his son Rabindranath, and another side is Santosh Chandra. So you see, 1905 সালে রবীন্দ্রনাথ শুরু করে দিয়েছেন একটা ছোটখাটো why? Because to protect the self defense, particularly to the boys and also girls. And for that, in the next picture, you see the next one. Another person, he took from Japan after visiting China, he goes to Japan. On that time, 2019, he took Tagore, the famous judo exponent of that time in Japan. He took him here, and he stayed 1 year to teach the judo to our students. And after that, this has been introduced in Kolkata also. Next one. Last one. Yes. And once Tagore wrote in Japan Jati Patro, he wrote that this Dhyan culture, our Dhyan culture, and from Buddhadev, is Buddhist people, those who take this Dhyan culture to the Himalayan areas. And from Himalayan areas, it goes to China. When it goes to China, he wrote, when it goes to China, the name has been changed. The name is Chenma. So Dhyan to Chen. When it goes to Japan, the name is Jain. So from Dhyan to Chen to Jain. This is one of our research area. How this has been transformed to from India to China to Japan. So from Dhyan to Chen to Jain. Next. Another our research area is our the martial art, Indian martial art has been spread from India to the northern part of India, the Himalayan part, from one exponent of that time, Bodhidharma. And Bodhidharma spread this Indian martial art to the upper part of India, the Himalayan range, from Himalayan range to the lower Himalayan Chinese side, and from China to it goes to Korea, Japan, and other parts of the world. Last one. And my last slide is, I know that Tai Chi is very important in China. So I request all the delegates who came from China, please send your Tai Chi team in here if you want to learn these Tai Chi techniques. Tai Chi is a martial art, at the same time there are some yogic postures also. So we want to learn from you this Tai Chi technique, and it's an exchange program. You can learn ourselves the yogic technique and other technique. You can learn from yourself the Tai Chi technique. So I would request, if it is possible, please send your expert from Tai Chi expert. We will arrange everything, fooding, lodging, everything we will arrange. So please send your Tai Chi expert in our report. Thank you. First one is acknowledgement. Rabindranath Library, Cheena for giving me the chance opportunity for presenting my paper. Sushil Kumar, my research scholar, another Sujatu and Ravindra, who have helped me a lot. Last one is Namaskar from the land of peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabindranath, Professor Rabindranath, for your nice and very important presentation, especially before our young students. Santiniketan has always played an important role in incorporating games and sports into its curriculum. Not only dancing and art, but Santiniketan has been championed for years in football. So I think you have already learned this from the Tagore studies classes. And next, I will request Dr. Kolkata Chatterjee, the younger faculty member of the same department, the Physical Education and Sports Science, Assistant Professor under the aegis of Bhavana. Dr. Kolkata Chatterjee is a dedicated academic and researcher in the field of physical education, holding a PhD with a focus on the effects and different durations of yoga nidra, on selected psychomotor components following induced fatigue. Dr. Chatterjee has authored 3 books and over 50 research papers, contributing significantly to the academic discourse in the field. The topic is Broti Balak Shangathan. You have already learned about this from my class in Tagore Studies. Pratibalok, okay, the Boy Scouts. Pratibalok Shangatana, Tagore's vision and quality life. Please follow.
Thank you. Respected Bhavana, other faculty of the Visva-Bharati and dignitaries from the China and sitting intellectual peoples. So, a very good afternoon. My topic is Pratibalok Shangathan, Tagore's vision of quality of life. Please, next. How did the concept of Pratibalok came into existence? Before going there, from the morning we are discussing, we are learning one thing, that is the highest education is that which does not merely give information but bring our life in harmony with all existence. And again I am talking about this fact, the last part, bring our life in harmony with all existence. So from here, the concept of Pratibalok came that I will talk. So he has some different concept regarding that time of India and the reformation of education in India. He believes that the soul of India lies in her village, and only when the village are awakened and raised to their full potential, India will be truly independent. He believed that educate rural people to educate India. And not only that, in Indian lifestyle of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, we can found that the entire process, he did different kind of experiments. Each and every time he did experiment and he shows the path in each and every aspect. Here, the same way he started in the year 1922, the Santiniketan experiment, or we can say that the rural reconstruction education. You can see from that point of view that the background, from where the concept of Santiniketan experiment came. The first point, that is during his Jamindari time, he came into direct contact with the rural India. That time he saw the poverty and the superstitious and illiteracy of that Indian population. During that time, he thought of reformation of education. And in the 1901, he started to reforming the education, and that was taught by Amolla, followed by Manobendra, and several kinds of elegant people. The one thing that when he did that experiment, he started in 1901, that educational reformation, he started, or he wants a joyful learning. After that, in the year 1922, again he shifted from that comfort zone to another area. Now, whatever he thought during his Zamindari period, that we have to reconstruct our rural India. And he has started that experiment, and he named that experiment, that is Santiniketan, or rural reconstruction. Here we can find out that the concept of Pratibalok, it started in the Mahidapur. Then it is very astonishing to think that 1909, that time scouting and guiding was started in England, and it was started also in India 1910. He sent two people from here to train themselves in a scouting training. After that, in the year 1923, he started another concept, that is the first, it was known as a Gram Sahayak, and then followed by, he named it Pratibalok Shangathan. Why Prati? The question comes, why Prati? Prati means to take an oath. who will take an oath. Oath of what? Oath to serve the community. Oath to reform the rural India. So we can say that it involves the rural children and the youth in sustainable community development. Or we can say that harmonious development of the individual and their connection to the broader community. That is the concept. Not only the rural development of rural community, but development of the self. It also merged with that concept. Next. Just try to understand the concept of Bhavana. I can make you understand with the two concepts. One is 4H system and followed by the 4C concept. You can see that 4H concept, that is health, head, heart and hand. And for health, the 4C concept, cultivation of physical culture. For head, creative activity. For heart, community service. And for hand, crafting. So, the 4H, the concept of quality of life lies within 4H. And it can be led by following the 4C concept, cultivating physical culture, creative activity, community service and crafting. So, you can see that he has written down the oath. The oath that is সত্য সেবা ব্রত নিয়ে চলব শিখে রাস্তা দিয়ে দেশের দশের দুঃখ যত দূর করিব সাধ্য মতো. Means I will be on a straight path with the vow of true service and remove the misery of the country as much as possible. You can see that he had created a time schedule, a daily schedule for the Bhakti-Palak Sangathan, that is wake up in the morning. Two, you can see that the sleep at 9 o'clock. The major concept. So I have talked about the 4C concept. The first one, that is cultivation of physical culture. How? Question arises, how? By practicing different drills, practicing free hand exercises, yogic exercises, games and sports. Now, by practicing drills and practicing free hand exercises, not only we can develop our physical strength or flexibility or agility, but it is a group activity. If we indulge in a group activity, it develops another three concepts, another three things. That is, the first one is rhythmic sense. When your people are continuously working in a certain position, it develops the rhythmic sense. And the foremost thing, that is a team building, or we can say that group cohesion. So, by practicing drill, by practicing free hand exercises, by practicing yoga, by practicing games, we can not only develop the physical activity, that's why I'm talking about the physical culture, the rhythmicity, the aesthetic values, and along with that, the group dynamics, which is much more needed in modern time. And similarly, for the head, that is creative activity. What is creative activity? For cultural activity, drawing, publications. In the morning, they told about that publication of handwritten magazines, discussion, recitation, gardening, what not. Then you can see the third point, that is most important point, that is community service. Why community service? Now how? Now village area cleaning, community cleaning, rally for awareness, campaigning and propaganda on different issues. Like in today's time we have many sources, but that time we don't have this kind of sources. So who will do that propaganda? Who will do that campaigning? They themselves do that campaigning. The Boy Scouts, they will do that campaigning to educate the rural underprivileged India. And the fourth one, that is trained people in taking handicaps. So, from here, talk about the concept of the quality of life. The concept of quality of life, the first, that is balanced development. A balanced development of what? Or we can say that integration of the physical, mental and spiritual activities or spiritual aspects. Now, the second point, that is connection to the nature. And the third point, that is community engagement. You can see that, next slide, you can see that by Bhakti we can fulfill this kind of activity. How? The first one, to develop good quality of captainship. Secondly, sanitation and policing. Third one, I have talked about group dynamics. How group dynamics? The group dynamics also develop to break down caste, religious differences through group games and music and plays. Next, supervised meals. Water purification. Nowadays we are talking about the preservation of water, purification of water. He thought of, he did experiment of water purification. Then firefighting, to take part in a recreational activity. We are talking about the joyful learning. It is a part, recreational activity, a part of joyful learning. Then we can say that to develop the creativity, to develop the spirit of the community service, to undertake physical exercise for making a sound body with a sound mind. Awareness of natural equilibrium, environmental education. If we consider Pratibha, we can find out in three broader concepts. The concept of service to the humanity. The second concept, that is ethical values, and the third one, personal fulfillment. By involving ourselves in the program of Bhakti, we can develop these three things: service to humanity, ethical values, and personal fulfillment. And the concept and the present concept of quality life lies within these three things. That is a vision for a modern education. We can say that a modern education should focus on what? Ethical foundation of each and every human being. Secondly, creative expression, the joyful expression, creative expression. And finally, we can say that a holistic development of what? Holistic development of personality. The entire personality, so that not only we think of ourselves first, we think that we are a part of this environment, we are the part of this world. We have some responsibility to the society, we have some responsibility to the morality, or we have some responsibility for the world. So, the message of this Bhakti serves only one thing. By practicing this Bhakti, we can not only recreate, we can not only reconstruct the underprivileged population, but we can prepare a better world tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel, for your nice presentation, and it was obviously a very interesting paper, and Colonel was talking wholeheartedly. He was somehow identified with the subject. So I must congratulate you. And the next and last speaker of this session is Tan Yung Min. Dr. Tan Yung Min is a scholar and lecturer specializing in literature and theatre studies. She completed her PhD in March 2023 from the Institute of Aesthetic Theory and Criticism in Zhejiang University, China. in July 2023. She joined the School of Literature and Journalism at Human First Normal University as a lecturer. Her current research focuses on the works of Rabindranath Tagore, particularly his contributions to theatre, exploring the interplay between aesthetics and cultural expression, with a strong academic foundation and a passion for literary analysis. Thorn in Me is dedicated to advancing the understanding of Tagore's influence on modern theatre and aesthetics in the context of Chinese literature. The title of her paper is Integration of Perceptual Ability and Critical Thinking, Rabindranath Tagore's Theatre Educational Thought.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a great honor to participate in this international conference here. This is my first visit to India, and I really love food here, and it's really nice to meet all of you. And I come from Hunan province, China. I am currently work as a lecturer in Hunan First Normal University. You are very welcome to study in our college. Now please allow me to start my presentation with gratitude. Thank you. Okay, my title will be Integration of Emotional Cultivation and Critical Thinking, Rabindranath Tagore's Theatre Educational Thought. Okay, I will skip this part. Thank you. So my article has 3 parts. The first part describes the educational philosophy of Tagore, and the second part explores Tagore's efforts to use theatre for education and enlightenment. The third part discusses Tagore's philosophy on humanistic education through the characteristics of theatre. As Tagore saw the shortcomings of traditional India and modern Western education, he criticized both accordingly. His critique of the former was mainly based on the Enlightenment's critical stance. In contrast, his critique of the latter was mainly based on the aesthetic emotional cultivation stance. Theatre can become a way of art on the aesthetic emotional cultivation stance. So, only under the cultivation of such a complete humanity can human beings be generally free. Next page, please. In the late 19th century and early 20th century, Tagore insisted that India must take back the power to dominate the education system from the British and advocated to the development of national education suitable for India's native culture. At the same time, he was also firmly opposed to the national education to irrational nationalist sentiments. He was unwilling to fly the British flag on his campus. In addition, he made public statements renouncing all the honors, privileges, and care given to him by the British government as an expression of silent protest against British colonial rule and imperialism. On the other hand, Tagore has a wise insight into the difference between genuine patriotic feeling and militant nationalism. Tagore insisted on cultivating freedom of character and independence as the core of education. In The Religion of Man, Tagore expressed his dissatisfaction with the school he attended. Tagore suggested that the goal of education is freedom of the mind, where man develops himself harmoniously in establishing a harmonious relationship with nature and also the society. Tagore hoped that through this principle of man and nature, life and soul will be fully developed. The ideal state of education, as he described it in his article, The Problem of Education, like this. Green trees, bright skies, free south wind, clear rivers, beautiful scenery are students' desks and chairs, which are no less important than books and examinations. Notably, his school opened a department for girls in the late 19th century, promoting the development of girls' education in Bengal. The first staging of Tagore's theatre, Mayor Killer, was held on December 29, 1888, on the inaugural night of a class fair held at a girls' school in Kolkata. At that time, Tagore wrote the play at the request of Saralali, a renowned educationist who established the Kolkata Memorial Girls' School in 1920. This is of great significance for educational reforms in India. According to Amartya Sen, female autonomy includes a dedication to education, an open political system, a largely civilian society without a rigid class structure, a history of liberalism and radicalism, and national consensus arising from political contexts with marked elements. Parallels are drawn between the possibilities of theatre and education as tools for social transformation and change. In Tagore's essays, Educational Reforms, The Disadvantages of Education, The Problem of Education, My School, The Purpose of Education, and The Education of Women, he elaborated his ideas of educational enlightenment. In his essay, Educational Reforms, Tagore quotes an excerpt from a speech made by Lev Tolstoy on Russian education. The power of the government comes from the ignorance of the people. The government understands this and is always opposed to the true enlightenment. The most disgusting thing that a government can do when it spreads ignorance is to pretend to be busy with the enlightenment of the people. In addition to these discussions of educational thought, Tagore's theatre also reveals his criticism of the educational system of the time. These theatres and his educational ideas form a kind of intertextual contrast. Few commentators have noted the importance of Tagore as a poet in his theatres. In 1939, when his complete works was first published, Tagore declared that his theatres were second only to his poems and more critical than his novels and essays. Tagore wrote at least 60 theatres in his lifetime, and they are all translated by Professor Dong Yo-chen in Chinese, so you can read his theatres nowadays. Tagore's theatres have become an essential part of the curriculum of his work. Because of its inherent enlightenment role, the theatre has been recognized as an essential means of fostering civic discernment and public life as early as the ancient Greek period, by focusing on cultivating a rational and critical spirit. In one of his theatres, Immovable, Tagore symbolically portrayed and more thoroughly criticized educational problems. The student sentenced to be sunk in a pond to storm from his sins for opening a window in the North Wall is one of the many potential victims of rigid education. The younger brother in the play embodies freedom, and this image centers on his rebellion against old education and customs and his desire for freedom. In contrast, the older brother is well-versed in various texts and chants and a staunch defender of traditional rites and customs. The symbolism of this brotherly relationship is also
worth considering, as the fact that two characters with opposite ideas are siblings may seem unbelievable to others. Still, it is indeed the terror and pain that India was experienced at the time of social reformation. The old and the new, the unchanging and the changing, the closure and the freedom, the fossil and the innovation. Contradictions are all at the same time staged. At the end of the play, the younger brother opens all the doors and windows in the old schoolhouse. And the old grandpa says to everyone, "You go with the punctual brothers to the foundation of the old schoolhouse, which was destroyed, and build a new building." This ending reflected Tagore's emphasis on educational enlightenment and rational thinking. Tagore also composed and adapted dance dramas such as Gada and Chandalika. Tagore inspired his dance dramas from the traditional Bengali dance drama Jatra, and I am very interested in this kind of dance. In 1917, he noticed that Manipuri was a popular dance genre that required no expertise, have a good reputation, and was easy to popularize. He invited the famous teachers of Manipuri to teach this dance. Under his efforts and those of other enthusiasts keen to revive Indian classical dance, it was gradually restored to its artistic level. Tagore's passion for dance drama was also inseparable from his trip to Java Island, Indonesia in 1927, during which he left behind a wealth of diaries and letters which involved his conceptions of Javanese dance, and these artistic concepts were significant revelation for his adaptation of dance drama. Tagore's concept of drama can be best summarized in these words. The stage is small, but the poetry is not. For Tagore, the stage set is unimportant, and the space size is unimportant. What is important is the poem itself. The educational effect Tagore hoped to achieve through theatre would lead people to poetic existence. In modern Western drama and theatre practiced in the 20th century, many Western dramatists began to look to Indian theatre for inspiration, like Grotowski's theory of theatre of poverty and Peter Brook's empty space theory explain the principle of minimization and the dialectic between the finite and the infinite of theoretic stage respectively. The commonality of these theories is that they all explore the sense of poetry that remains in the theatre after stripping away the elements of scenery, choreography, props, and even space. Tagore reveals the drawbacks that are becoming more and more prominent in modern Western education, including naturalism, mechanization, and modeling. Tagore believes that we should learn Western scientific knowledge based on local culture, focusing on humanistic and art education to cultivate natural human nature. The views of Marcel Nussbaum, a contemporary American philosopher, are also contemporary equals of Tagore's concerns about humanistic education. She argues that Tagore has always used the pedagogy of role-playing, which requires students to think in positions with which they are unfamiliar to emphasize with the thoughts and feelings of others. Tagore used elaborate theater pieces that mix performance, music, and dance so that children will perform with all their bodies, taking unfamiliar positions and postures to explore different roles. The continuation of aesthetic pleasure and the cultivation of empathy in the role-playing of theater. And passive role education defies individuality, while practical activities guided by the spirit of play enrich it. So in this article, in my article, I describe Tagore's educational philosophy and provide a reference to the current situation of practical education. However, some scholars believe that Tagore's work and ideas belong to history and past or to particular people. However, his works can still be heard echoing today in the 21st century. When we look to education history in modern society, we reflect deeply on the thesis. John Dewey, Nussbaum, and Amartya Sen, also an Indian, have all thought and criticized the education situation in nowadays. Emotional connovation and critical thinking are common goals of education, regardless of the time, place, and national differences. As a special educational tool, theatre plays a very important role in this process. Tagore's thoughts on theatre education are rich in connovation and deserve serious attention from the world of drama and also education. So that's all for my speech. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Dr. Tan Yung Man. It is really appreciating that you have been studying the special features of Tagore's theatrical concept and ideas, setting in China. So this is really appreciating, and she was talking about the interplay between the notion of theatre of Tagore, or the play mode of Tagore's drama, and the Tagore's inherent poetic quality of in his plays. And moreover, she was talking about the interplay between the milieu of Santiniketan and the concept of the play, theatrical frame that Tagore alluded in some occasions. And really it is appreciating. And one thing that I cannot hold temptation to share with you, that 30 years ago, just 30 years ago, Professor Uday Chaudhary of Bengali department, he was talking Shubhakar Chattopadhyay endowment lecture in this room, in this hall, 30 years ago, and the topic was Santiniketan Dharar Rabindranath Chalchitre Morris Metarlik. And I can still remember that Rudevda, he was reiterating that the so-called metaphoric or the allegorical, we should discard this type of dogmas level. Instead, we should say the plays of Tagore starting from Sharadab Shatrapta Parvi, Santiniketan Dharar Natok. And first, as far as I can remember, Rabindranath Tagore had used the term in his book either patricity or on edges of time. The Santiniketan Dharar Natok. That means the milieu of Santiniketan is always intertwined with the concept of theatre of day. So thank you again. And I don't know whether there is time to take 2 or 3 questions. Or
1 or 2 questions.
1 or 2 questions, okay. So I would request you to inquire or ask 1 or 2 questions to any of the speaker. Okay.
My question is, you were just talking about the Rabindranath. Yeah. So why I want to know. I'm very interested in this part. I want to know why do you think it's necessary to nowadays, especially for the youngest? That is the question 1. The question 2. The community is not only in India, also in China. Do you think this is the concept Rabindranath could also be practiced in other countries?
Thank you for your question, ma'am. First of all, the first question, that is the Pratibhalak Sangathan. It was started by the Gurudev in 1920. And then, as per my knowledge, near about 60 areas it was started that time. It was explored during 1933-34, 60 areas. Not only in right now India, even it went to the Bangladesh also. So this is your question. And the second question, whether we can do this in other state or other country. Obviously, this is a concept, man. This is a concept of for developing the rural underprivileged community. And I can mention one thing in my slide, that is, it is a program by the underprivileged community, for the underprivileged community, for developing underprivileged community in a better community. So it can be done anywhere in the world, and it is especially our motto, so that the concept which was near about 100 years back, it was established. So why not it will travel to many countries, not only it will be restricted in India or rather in Santiniketan. Definitely it should be flourish in different countries, so that the concept, and we can reconstruct the underprivileged community and the village community. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody?
I just, Professor Tagore. Yeah, so in the theatre practices in your department, in your country, because Santiniketan theatre has its own character of Nritya Natika, they dance and they sing. So when it is staged there, do you also incorporate these features, like the theatre of Tagore, theatre by Tagore? Because like you said, the Santiniketan Dhara, they are of a particular nature, where the poems are sung and dance is a very integral part of theatre. So when you stage Tagore's theatre in other countries, in other languages, what are the challenges? That is my question.
Thank you for your question. Actually, Tagore's theatre has been staged in China. The earliest play, I think, is in 1924 when his visit to China. Many Chinese writers like Liang Qichao, Xu Zhimo, you know Tagore, and Lin Huiying, and they played the famous theater of Tagore, Chitra. They staged this theater for Tagore's birthday, celebrating. They use English to perform. So I think the challenges may be mainly in the language, because we can only use English or Chinese to stage, which will, I think, we can't completely express the beauty of Tagore's language. So I think this is the most challenging thing. But I think if we can learn more about Tagore, and also we can communicate more of China and India, including literature, poem, theater, and also culture, we can stage them more successfully. Thank you.
We are running late about 30 minutes, so no way. I'm not going to give any presidential talk at the end of the session. But one thing that I must talk to you that I enjoyed most. Thank you all.
We are now in the valedictory session where may I now request Professor Shubhita Chakraborty and Professor Tumi Ochen to please come with you. Professor Shubhita Chakraborty and Professor Tumi Ochen. So this is for the valedictory session, the last session of the conference.
Poems of Rabindranath where he has visited Moscow University, Russian Federal School of Administration, Rabindranath University of India, Visva-Bharati, Kolkata University, Banaras Hindu University, Assam University, Dhaka University in Bangladesh, Jahangirnagar University. On May 8, 2010, he was awarded an honorary Doctor of Letters by Rabindranath University, and on May 9, 2010, Bangla Academy of the Ministry of West Bengal, India awarded him the Tagore Memorial Award. একটু চুপ করে থাকতে পারো না? He has written and published a number of works such as Tagore Painting Biography, Indian Poet Tagore, Poets Painting Appreciation of Tagore Painting, and inner works essays on Bengali literature. He is the most famous expert on Tagore in Chenma. He is Dr. Legend for the valedictory address.
বিকালে আমি কিছু কথা বলছি। সকালে সারা সকালে আপনার এই ধরনের বসে আমার মনে হয় খুব ক্লান্ত হয়েছে। এই জন্য আমি আপনাদেরকে সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। আজকে এই অনুষ্ঠানে নিশ্চয়ই আমি খুশি। যুবকী সবাই এখানে বসে আপনারা আমাদের ভবিষ্যতে চীনা দেশ ভারতবর্ষে মহান দেশের ঐতিহ্য আমার মনে হয় বিকশিত হবে। এই আমার আশা। আজকে রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের এই শিক্ষা সম্পর্কে এই কথা বলা হয়েছিল। দুই মহান দেশের এই বিশিষ্ট মোটামুটি চেঞ্জ করার জন্য আমরা খুব খুশি। এই সময়ও আমার মনে হয় খুব সফল হয়েছে। এর জন্য আমি খুবই আনন্দিত হয়েছি। আমি আশা করি যে উপস্থিত সবাই ছাত্রছাত্রী সুযোগ পেয়ে চীন দেশে নিজের চোখে দেখতে পাবে। শেষে আমি এই আয়োজিত প্রফেসরকে আমার বন্ধুকে খুব ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। এই সময়ের এই তৈরি করার জন্য তাদেরকে আমি আরো ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। সবাই ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি।
তাহলে কি শেষ হয়ে গেল? তাহলে যে কথা উনি বলেছেন বাংলাদেশ শেষ করা যাক, যখন বাংলাদেশ শেষ করেছেন যে কথা উনি বলেছেন এটাই শেষ কথা। আর কি রবীন্দ্রনাথ সকলে রবীন্দ্রনাথকে নিয়ে আমরা সারা পৃথিবীর মানুষ এক জায়গায় দিতে পারি। সেজন্য আমরা এখানে রবীন্দ্রনাথকে কেন্দ্র করে দুটি প্রাচীন সভ্যতার দেশ প্রবীণ প্রাচীন চীন এবং ভারত এক জায়গায় রয়েছে। আজকের দিনের অনুষ্ঠান সম্ভবত এখানে শেষ হলো। এখন বিভাগীয় প্রধান তাকে আহ্বান করে এ সম্পর্কে আজকে শেষ করেছে।
ওকে, ধন্যবাদ সুমিতা দি এবং তুংলাউশর কাইশিয়ানি lecturer. So we come to the end of this academic sessions. The valedictory session is over. So thank you all, and we hope that our Chinese scholars today will also have some other program. They will be moving soon to that program. So once again, thank all the scholars from China and our Tagore experts from India and from West Bengal, from Visva-Bharati, who have come here for this international conference. Wish you all a very in front of us there is our festive season will start, so wish you all a very happy festive season. And 感谢董老师，感谢所有的中国专家。我们现在的这个锤树活动就在这儿结束了。好，谢谢大家。
Sono